Magandang gabi sa ating lahat. Ngayong gabi ay pag-aaralan natin um, Romans chapter 16 verse 14. So sabi dito, ang title ng ating paksa ngayong gabi ay Living in the Freedom of God's Grace. So sabi sa Romans 6 chapter 14, o Romans 6 verse 14, "For sin will have no damnation or dominion over you, since you are not under law, but under grace." So, ano ba yung teaching natin sa gabi ito? So, God's grace can't be abused. The grace of God is not a license to sin recklessly or indulge in sinful behaviors. While grace offers forgiveness and freedom from the condemnation of sin, it does not condone ongoing disobedience or disregard for God's commands. Romans 6:1-2. God's grace has crucified sin in our bodies. Through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, God's grace has dealt a decisive blow to the power of sin in our lives. So as believers, we are no longer slaves to sin, but are empowered to live victoriously over its influence. So Romans 6:6-7. So God's grace has set us free from the mastery of sin. So the grace of God liberates us from the mastery of sin and empowers us to live in righteousness and holiness. Through our union with Christ, we have been granted freedom from sin's dominion and are called to walk in newness of lives. Romans 6:18. So what is our application here? So first, do not attempt to abuse the grace of God. Instead of viewing grace as a means of to justify sinful behavior, we should honor and respect God's grace by living in obedience to His word. Let us not take advantage of His mercy, but rather strive to walk in righteousness and holiness. Do not let sin reign over us by being quick to repent. When we fall into sin, we should not allow it to gain mastery over us. Instead, we should humbly repent and turn back to God, seeking His forgiveness and the strength to resist temptation. By acknowledging our sin and seeking God's help, we can prevent sin from exerting control over our lives. Offer ourselves as instruments of righteousness. So as recipients of God's grace, we are called to live as instruments of righteousness, reflecting His love, mercy, and holiness to the world. So let us actively pursue righteousness and seek to glorify God in all that we do, knowing that we have been set free by His lives that honor Him. So what is our discussion here? So attempting to abuse the grace of God undermines the essence of His love and sacrificial work of Jesus Christ on the cross. It reflects a misunderstanding of transformative power of grace and its call to holiness and obedience. So when we misuse God's grace, we dishonor His character and diminish the significance of Christ's sacrifice for us. Instead, understanding the true nature of God's grace inspires us to live lives of gratitude, obedience, and holiness. By embracing the freedom found in God's grace, we are empowered to resist sin and walk in righteousness, honoring God in all aspects of our lives.